Welcome here to Jerusalem on this Holy Saturday. This day is always unique, especially in the Catholic Church, where when you go into the sanctuary, suddenly you find nothing. There's no tabernacle, there's no Eucharist, the altar is bare. He's gone. He's died. And so Holy Saturday is always a time of saying, where do I go? Where should I come to? And most of us will spend the day in a spiritual way, in a certain sense, with Mary, the mother of Jesus, or the women, or even the apostles, frightened in the upper room. Because where else are you going to go? Now, I've chosen to come here today. This is actually called the Herod's family tomb, or the family tomb of Herod. The Jaffa Gate is right in front of us. In fact, from here I can see Mount Zion. That's where the cenacle is. That's where the apostles would have been hiding today. Mary and the mother of Jesus and perhaps the women were just also in this direction. Mount Zion's here, right here in the Old City, is the Church of St. Mark, and that is the home of the mother of Mark. And there was a place where they would go often. Perhaps Mary was there. But they had to stay put because it was, of course, the Sabbath day. And there's only a certain distance that you can walk on this day. But there was confusion, there was shock, there was time that was needed to understand what was happening. So I came here because as a child, and even more as a consecrated woman, I always pictured myself among the women that would have gone to the tomb very early in the morning tomorrow. But since it's Holy Saturday and it's a time to reflect and to pray, I came to this tomb to kind of situate ourselves in what's actually happening today. Now, what you see here is a round stone. There's a lot of, branches and dirt and everything. But this is actually made in a slot, and it'll roll right in front of the door that's right here to my left on the bottom. You see the stairs going down, and they have a metal door right there to keep people from going in. This archway is also part of the tomb. And this whole area, they're like cliffs and they go further this way. These were all different types of tombs. But in this area where there was a beautiful gate into the city, into what is now called the Citadel of David's the Tower of David, it was a place where people would pass by. And certainly it was a place where some of the best families in Jerusalem would bury their loved ones. So when this tomb was first discovered, of course, it's very well known because it looks like the tomb that we hear about in the account of the resurrection, or even when Jesus was buried. They rolled the stone in front of the tomb, and so you can picture it perfectly, and they came out. It has an antechamber. There's chambers inside. They actually found sarcophagi, beautiful sarcophagi that they moved to another location because this was actually used as a bunker in the World War. So this helps us to understand where Jesus has been laid. And I want to be here on this Holy Saturday, reflecting and praying and saying, okay, where is he? He's here in the tomb. But theologically speaking, where is he? And what does that have to do with our pilgrimage of freedom? Before we get into that, also right in front of me, this is rock face, but then in front of me they've excavated a base. They can tell immediately that it's from the Herodian period. Herod died in 4 BC, so all of this was here at the time of Christ and certainly before him. And a pyramid structure is what they found, the base and then the pyramid structure. And so even in Rome, some of the great Roman emperors, and so, Herod was in touch with them very much. He always, he needed his authority from them. Perhaps he wanted to have a monument like this for his own family members. They found another monument, a funerary monument, very near the Damascus Gate, which they also think would have been Herod's family tomb. So they're not sure. But when this was excavated, they said it has to be. These are Herodian stones. In fact, there's writings which indicate that he actually buried his beloved, beautiful wife, Mariamne, here in this tomb. If you remember, poor Herod became extremely paranoid as his life went on. He ended up killing Mariamne. He killed his sons. He was really worried about losing power. Of course, that's, the whole thing that started killing the children in Bethlehem. It's this paranoia for power. He was bound, most definitely. But what is it when we look at a tomb like this and when we're, reflecting on this Holy Saturday? What does it tell us about freedom and our pilgrimage to freedom? In my opinion, spiritually, we're just on the threshold of entering into this great freedom that the Lord wins for us in his resurrection. Well, if we go back to the Creed, it's interesting that we profess that he descended, and this is a Nicene Creed, he descended into hell. And that is a very interesting phrase. When we say the expression, he descended into hell in the Apostles' Creed, rather, it confesses that Jesus did really die as a human being. He died just like all of us will die. He did. This was actually a big controversy at the beginning of the church. Was it just an image of him that died? Did he really die? Was he really a human? Did he disappear before he died? Did he come off the cross? All of these crazy ideas. And so again, the people who lived here, the Christians who lived here, they said, yeah, he sure did die. That's why we profess he descended into hell. And so if you think about where he went, there's different words for that. The Hebrew word, which is Sheol, the Greek word, which is Hades. These are all places where those who are there are not necessarily damned. Okay, this is not the hell of those that are damned, right? But it's the place where you cannot see the face of God. You are awaiting redemption. And we can remember just a couple days ago on Mount Nebo, as we were looking into the promised land, we said, Lord, let me see your face, talking about the 10th commandment. Everything about freedom is entering in to be able to see his face, to enter into relationship, and to be free in love, like we talked about yesterday on Good Friday. So he descended into hell, Hades, Sheol, to do what? Well, I love the icons of this moment when he descends into the dead. We have a beautiful one at Notre Dame of Jerusalem Center, and that is the triumphant Christ. He's there, and he's holding on to the hands of a very old man and a very old woman. That would be Adam and Eve, and he's lifting them up. But what you see below him are doors, and these doors have been broken open. The gates of hell have been overcome, and you see the chains that have bound those people in death because of the original sin coming from Adam and Eve. They've been broken, and the redemption is there. This is what's happening right now. Do you think Jesus, being God, who did die, is just here? Still? This heart that's just filled with love for us is active and working, because we're talking about freedom. The freedom not just for the chosen people, the ancient Israelites, but freedom for every single person. It's not just the people who are living at the time of and after, Jesus died and rose from the dead. No, he came to save everyone in every time, in every moment in history. And that means, yes, from the time of Adam and Eve. You can think about when it says in the Bible about Abraham. Remember Lazarus and Abraham and the story that Jesus told. He says, Lazarus is there and he's talking to the rich man, and the rich man dies. And he says, oh, tell my brothers that, they need to help people, because Lazarus died, the rich man died, and this one is in hell. And he's like, oh, come on, dip your finger in some water. Tell Lazarus to dip his finger in water to relieve me from these flames, because it's horrible. And Jesus actually says, no, there's a gap between him and you, right? So he's talking about the fact that there are all of these people who are in a place where they have died, right? So this is something which is very real. Those who are deprived of the vision of God are those that are there. And so this is the case for all those who die. That's why even when we die, we'll be longing. We will be longing for the second coming of the Lord, for the resurrection from the dead. But when we're talking about Lazarus, who is received into Abraham's bosom, Jesus said it is precisely these holy souls who awaited their Savior in Abraham's bosom, whom Christ the Lord delivered when he descended into hell. So he did not descend into hell to deliver the damned, nor to destroy hell, the hell of damnation, but to free the just. To free the just, including Abraham himself, including Adam and Eve. So when you look at the New Testament, you even have, I think it's the first letter of Peter, but Peter says that the gospel was preached even to the dead. So this belief is actually something from apostolic times. The descent into hell brings the gospel message of salvation to complete fulfillment. In a way, it's like saying this is the last part of Jesus' messianic mission. He preaches to all the corners of the earth. Well, not just this earth. He's going to all the peoples who have ever lived. I mean, that's absolutely extraordinary. Christ's redemptive work is to all men of all times, of all places. So this is amazing. He's letting us all be sharers in this redemption and sharers in this freedom. So what I want to do now on this Holy Saturday, now that we're here in this really amazing place, is to sit down next to Our Lady, sit down next to the apostles, sit down next to the holy women who will come out as soon as they possibly can to anoint his body. But I want to reflect on this particular redemptive mission of the Lord with one of my favorite writings from the early church. And this is simply called an ancient homily of Holy Saturday. And it speaks specifically about the Lord descending into hell. So let's look at this place. Let's see this area. Let's put ourselves with them and listen to these words. Something strange is happening. There's a great silence on earth today, a great silence and stillness. The whole earth keeps silence because the King is asleep. The earth trembled and is still because God has fallen asleep in the flesh, and he has raised up all who have slept ever since the world began. God has died in the flesh, and hell trembles with fear. He has gone in search of our first parent, as for a lost sheep, greatly desiring to visit those who live in darkness and in the shadow of death. He has gone to free from sorrow the captives Adam and Eve, he who is both God and son of Eve. The Lord approached them, bearing the cross, the weapon that had won him the victory. At the sight of him, Adam, the first man he created, struck his breast in terror and cried out to everyone, "My Lord be with you all." Christ answered him, "And with your spirit." He took him by the hand and raised him up, saying, "Awake, O sleeper, and rise from the dead, and Christ will give you light. I am your God, who for your sake have become your Son. Out of love for you and for your descendants, I now, by my own authority, command all who are held in bondage to come forth, all who are in darkness to be enlightened, all who are sleeping to arise. I order you, O sleeper, to awake. I did not create you to be held a prisoner in hell. Rise from the dead, for I am the life of the dead. Rise up, work of my hands, you who were created in my image. Rise, let us leave this place, for you are in me, and I am in you. And together we form only one person, and we cannot be separated. For your sake, I, your God, became your son. I, the Lord, took the form of a slave. I, whose home is above in the heavens, descended to earth and beneath the earth. For your sake, for the sake of mankind, I became like a man, without help, free among the dead. For the sake of you who left a garden, I was betrayed by the Jews in a garden. I was crucified in a garden. See on my face the spittle I received in order to restore you to life, the life I once breathed into you. See here the marks of the blows I received in order to refashion your warped nature in my image. On my back, see the marks of the scourging I endured to remove the burden of sin that weighs upon your back. See my hands nailed firmly to a tree, for you who once wickedly stretched out your hand to a tree. I slept on the cross, and a sword pierced my side, for you who slept in paradise and brought forth Eve from your side. My side has healed the pain in yours. My sleep will rouse you from your sleep in hell. The sword that pierced me has sheathed the sword that was once turned against you. Rise, let us leave this place. The enemy led you out of the earthly paradise. I will not restore you to that paradise, but I will enthrone you in heaven. I forbade you the tree that was only a symbol of life, but see, I who am life itself am now one with you. I appointed cherubim to guard you as slaves are guarded, But now I make them worship you as a God. The throne formed by cherubim awaits you, its bearers swift and eager. The bridal chamber is adorned. The banquet is ready. The eternal dwelling places are prepared. The treasure house of all good things lies open. The kingdom of heaven has been prepared for you from all eternity. What a homily. What a reality. What work the Lord is working during this Holy Saturday. Reread this homily in the light of everything that we have done and the way that we have walked from the time that we left Egypt. You can think of the gods carried on the shoulders of the slaves in the ark, the arks as they were going in processions. This is the place God has prepared for us, the promised land that he has opened for us. He's working it right now. And in just a few hours, that tomb will open up with great rejoicing and joy. And he says, we are one. Come with me into my rest, into my love, and into the promised land. Live my life, the life of the commandments, the life of the Beatitudes, his life, be deified, be like me. What a journey and what a blessing. We have a lot to pray about and reflect on during this Holy Saturday. So here as we are in Jerusalem, waiting for the peal of those early Easter morning bells together with you, know that we are praying for you. We will keep you very close to us as we go to Easter Mass in the Holy Sepulchre. We hope to share some of those images with you if we can, but definitely we'll be sharing with you tomorrow what you can see here in Jerusalem at Easter, where this all began. In the center of the world, Jerusalem, almost like a light that just goes out with all of its energy, goodness, and life for all of us. So God bless you, and I hope you can join us again tomorrow as we celebrate Easter together.